Hey guys and gals, and my fellow VEDS-ies, welcome back to another day of VEDS, and welcome back to yet another installment of I Just Watched, the show where I compare my preconceptions and postconceptions of movies I have never even seen before. And today on I Just Watched, I'm going to be watching a movie that I've never really seen before, and I'm not that surprised I've never seen before, but as I'm getting older, I am kind of trying to rediscover these movies and see if they are actually any good. The movie is called The Three Amigos. It stars Chevy Chase, Martin Short, and Steve Martin, all of whom individually I really like. Steve Martin, I think, is brilliantly funny. Chevy Chase is kind of very hit or miss. He's also kind of problematic. Martin Short is kind of somewhere in the middle. He can be really funny in doses, but when he dials it up to 11, it can kind of be a lot to take in. In terms of the three people, the one I've seen the most movies of is going to be Steve Martin. I've seen both of his takes of the Pink Panther. I've seen Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I recently watched Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Chevy Chase I've really only seen in like the first Vacation movie and of course Christmas Vacation. And with Martin Short, I kind of think I've only really seen him in like, I don't know, Santa Claus 3?
I invented Jill!
Now, the only thing I do know about this movie is the general plot is kind of these three guys, Chase, Short, and Martin, play silent era cowboy people who get fired and I guess end up in a situation that is much like the characters they would portray. Or they get mistaken for actual cowboys, or something to that extent. I also see, based on the Google entry here, it was distributed by Orion Pictures, which now gives me an excuse to play this Weird Al clip.
Orion is bankrupt now.
Wait a minute. According to this, Randy Newman plays a singing bush? What? Okay, now I gotta go see what this movie's about. Cut to me in the future.
We are the three amigos.
Alright, I just got done watching 1986's The Three Amigos, and man, am I just completely disappointed. Let me just get this right off the bat. I don't think it's a bad movie. I wouldn't even necessarily say that I hate it. But my biggest problem with it is I do not think the movie is nearly as funny as it thinks it is, but also that I think with this premise that it could be. Again, just to emphasize, this is apparently a movie that Steve Martin not only co-starred in, but he also co-wrote and he produced the thing, and I don't see it. It literally took, the first genuine laugh that I got was almost like an hour in, and it was like the canteen gag with Chevy Chase's character. This is a comedy after all, and if a comedy doesn't have you laughing, and again, humor is subjective and I'm aware of that, but at least in my case, if a comedy hasn't gotten me started laughing or at least chuckling until like an hour in, then in my opinion, it's not really a good comedy. Like, they're playing everything very, very straight. Oddly enough, I almost wanted it to be more, I don't know, Mel Brooksian, if that's even a word. I guess the only equivalent would be Blazing Saddles, and yeah, I do think Blazing Saddles is an overall better film than The Three Amigos. And that's not to say that there are not hints of it peppered in early on in the film. When the Three Amigos arrive, I think in the town of Diablo, and they're in the saloon, and all of the rough and tough bad guys think that they're with the German guy and they'll kill them, like, so be nice to them. You could have pushed that so much further. That scene could have ended with literally everyone in the bar singing the song because they're scared if they don't, they're just gonna get killed. You know, or another example of how, you know, you can see it being peppered in is that entire campfire scene. That campfire scene literally feels like it's plucked from a completely different movie. The set design, because yes, that was a set, you're not fooling me. It just, the visual look, it looked very stage-like. The singing horses joining in on the song. That's the type of humor that I would have wanted from a premise like this. The invisible swordsman bit with the singing bush, that was freaking hilarious. Where was that humor for the previous hour of the film? And I mean, I can't really pin it on Martin Short or Chevy Chase because they're just, they're just starring in the thing. This might boil down to a little bit of Steve Martin because he did co-write the thing. Yeah, from a writing standpoint, this movie is kind of paint by numbers. It's also, for being an hour and 40 minutes long, this was a slog to get through. This felt easily like 2.5 hours. I don't know how this thing is like 90 minutes. The padding of just bits, like, oh my god, there are just bits of this movie where it's just like, okay, time to look at my phone, because it's just like, it's not interesting, it's not being funny, I'm just waiting for the next thing to happen that you know is going to happen. Yeah, I know I'm making it sound like I hated this thing, and I don't hate it, but for having expectations of these are 3 powerhouse comedic forces, and for the movie to just not be as funny as I want, like, sorry, I'm a bit disappointed. At the end of the day, if you want to watch a comedic Western movie, I would stick with Blazing Saddles. Unless you are cautiously curious about what The Three Amigos is, like I was obviously, go ahead and watch it, but otherwise, I would stick with Blazing Saddles in a heartbeat. I think Blazing Saddles is overall funnier, the tone is better, and I would argue it's a bit more poignant because it actually has something to say. My apologies to anybody who really loves The Three Amigos. I really wanted to get into it, but I just couldn't. It didn't really click with me as much as I wanted it to. But those are my quick thoughts after just having watched The Three Amigos. If you have any thoughts on it, let me know in the comments. And until tomorrow, guys, gals, and my fellow VEDS-ies, I will see you tomorrow.